was just thinking, we got many ways of formulating our own unique individual realities. What I mean by that is the things that each individual accepts as real and not real. And just one example of what I mean by our realities on one level, there's many levels to this as well, is religion. Okay? Reality. Our information received through certain stages of development is what forms the reality in the individual. Well, I'm sorry, what assists in the formation of reality in the unique individual, each and every single one of us. All right. Now, one of the main ways that we classify things as real or qualify things as real is through sensory. If I'm saying that right, through one of our senses. If typically if we can touch something and we have a name for that thing, then we would typically accept that thing and consider that thing to be real if we were inclined to believe. Understand? That's a major part in what is real and you know what is not real, because you know we ain't gonna just believe it's some thin air shit. Think about that. We ain't gonna believe in thin air shit, you know, but we breathe air every day to keep us alive. So with all of that thinking, right? When it comes to the law and what people accept as what really is the law and what really is not the law, typically we see things in books, in writing, when it comes to the law, and we accept that as real, not knowing that there's a force thinner than air, of which the law is derived, and within which the law exists universally, no matter the individual uniqueness. It's universal. It applies to every individual the same way, the same fashion. It doesn't change from one place to another, from one individual to another. It applies to all living things. That is the law that man must follow when coexisting with the rest of nature or the rest of existence, those living things, you know. And our law that's written, you know, constitutionally, locally, with, you know, statutes, you know, people read things selectively and tend to take that as the law. They don't read the entirety of what is considered the law here. They don't read it in its entirety, because if they did, they would know that it has to derive its authority from somewhere. And at the end of the day, it derives its authority from somewhere thinner than air, which is within man. So when we look at the laws locally in the state, right? A lot of people, like I just had a conversation with a female about, you know, a fucking seatbelt ticket and an obstructing charge, right? A criminal obstructing charge, you know, for not wanting to give your personal unique identifiers to an officer because you didn't have on a seatbelt. So she claims that it's against the law for you not to wear a seatbelt. I said, well, where does that law derive its authority from over me, the individual man? You understand? Because if it's not a unique aspect of the law itself, which applies to all man, right, then it doesn't apply to me unless I believe it does, unless I accept it, or unless I believe it is really law. Outside of that, right, only private rules exist. Between men, right, it's private rules. Between man and God, right, is a private law. It's a covenant. I don't see how people don't understand that. Anything that I do with another man, or any type of engagement that I have with another man that is outside of the private covenant that I have with my Creator, is optional. So if any man makes up any rule, right, it's optional for me to follow that rule unless I'm within his kingdom. When I mean kingdom, I mean I got to be like in your house. Ain't no such thing as man having kingdom in the wilderness, anywhere outside of a private dwelling. It's imaginary. It doesn't exist, and there's no law to support a man having any type of jurisdiction over another man without contract that's outside of that man's private sector. It's private space. He's not trespassing. You understand what I'm saying? Free. That any other man is free. Now, the seatbelt ticket is equivalent to me not having my shoes tied up, laced up properly to the top while I'm running, or me not crossing the street between two white lines. Me not traversing across the public road. Silly semantics. But, for me to cross the street outside of lines, imaginary boundaries created by some man who claims that he can lay these boundaries down and apply it to all man as if he were a god. Yeah, the fuck right. Safeguards. Against what? My own safety, sir? Let me worry about my own safety, sir. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it. That's the fucking answer to a lot of this simple shit that goes on with these who have claimed to be here to protect and serve, who have sworn to protect and serve people from people. You understand what I'm saying? They're not doing that. It's not a service they're providing with people from people. Because if it were so, then there wouldn't be over 2.2 million. I don't know the number now. All these fucking people in jail for violating the so-called law that has nothing to do with other people. I'm trying to figure out, how can man violate a law without violating directly another man, woman, child? How do you do that? It is impossible, according to the Creator's law, for that to happen